Has modern Pokemon card investing become way too saturated? This, I think, is a really good topic to discuss. The last video I did was about the Pokemon investing space and if it's in a massive bubble. And what's one thing that could cause that bubble to burst? And even if it does, what are the ramifications going to be? So please check out my previous video. Look, this one is a standalone video, but it'll make maybe a little bit more sense if you watch the previous one. So one of the topics I discussed about Pokemon investing being a bubble was that modern Pokemon investing and the whole space as a whole, it seems very saturated. Or if we transfer that into a question, is the modern Pokemon investing space too saturated? And it's really interesting when you want to discuss anything to do with Pokemon card investing. And I love talking about Pokemon card investing. I could talk about it for hours on end. But it's like you can take one sub-question, like, is there a boom at the moment? Is there a bubble at the moment? Is that bubble about to pop? And you can discuss so many factors as part of that equation. And you can just pick out one, which is the Pokemon market currently too saturated? And you can delve into that, and that's what we're going to do in today's video. This is one of those ones, believe it or not, where there is no graphics up on the screen. It's a discussion style video. So if you're going for a drive in the car, pop it on while you're going to work maybe. It's probably going to be about 10, 12 minutes long. If you're going to the gym or something, pop it on in the headphones while you're at the gym or going for a walk. Or the big one, you guessed it, pop it on the telly while you're doing some housework at home. Hey, if you're new here, my name's Michael Pokeyols. We talk all things Pokemon card investing on this channel. 50% of you tune into every video, and I really, really appreciate it. Whereas the other 50% are new every video. So check out my other stuff if you're new here. I'd love to have as many of you guys and girls on board as possible. So let's jump into this space. Let's jump into this question. Has modern Pokemon become too saturated? Well, it feels like it's changed, hasn't it? It feels like the investing space has changed. There's more investors, there's more YouTubers, there's more grading, there's more holding, there's more hoarding, there's more rip and shipping. You get the idea. That is literally the definition of saturation. Like there's just too much of one good thing. And is that even a thing? And look, I'm very divided on this. I'm very, very divided on this topic, and I would like to think that I'm almost going to talk myself into a position by the end of this. And one thing you'll know about my videos is they're one take. If you've been here before, it's one take. I maybe write myself a couple of notes before I do a video, and I try and get my thoughts straight. There'll be bloopers in my videos, there'll be misspoken things, and hopefully by the end of it, I talk myself into some sort of conclusion when it comes to something. But that's a fact. More investors, more YouTubers, more grading, more holding, more hoarding, more rip and shippers. Is it too saturated? And the first thing that comes to mind is a question that I always say, and this is the bit that's got me contentious, because I think to myself, well, yeah, it is. It's very saturated at the moment. And in fact, it's probably oversaturated in certain spots. And then I always tell myself something in the car industry, and some of you probably get sick of me giving car industry references, but one thing we always say is, if it's popular new, it's going to be popular secondhand. And it's like, if something's rare, we probably should rephrase it. If something's not popular, as in no one buys it, doesn't automatically mean it's rare. If something's popular, like our best-selling cars in Australia, you know, things like the Toyota Hilux and the Toyota RAV4, they sell phenomenally well secondhand. They're very easy to sell because they're popular new. And this is what gets me. It's like, if the market is oversaturated and there's too much product and there's too much being held, and we'll delve into this a little bit more soon, does that mean that it's going to be harder to sell in the future? Or, contrary to that, is it a really good thing? Is this market saturation that we're seeing, where everyone's holding and everyone's hoarding and everyone's rip and shipping, is that a good thing because it just makes the hobby more popular? It just brings more and more money into the hobby. Is that going to be adversely a good thing for the future? Let's start off with this, I think. The vibe of the Pokemon investing space. If you've been around for a little while, you would know it feels a little bit different at the moment. I think the vibe does feel different. It feels different certainly to 5 years ago, and it definitely feels different to even 2 years ago. Everything has changed very, very quickly. And probably the biggest thing that has changed is the idea of quick money and expansion of product prices in such a rapid growth that we've never seen before. Because typically here's what happens, right? And this is pre-COVID era. A set would come out and we might be in a popular era or an unpopular era. The biggest spike we'd seen since the launch of the whole TCG was in XY era when we had the Pokemon Go app released. That spiked the hobby. That was like a reboot to the heart of the Pokemon TCG. That's what brought everything back to life. The surge in popularity of the TCG then was massive. Prior to that, a booster box would essentially come out. Or you could sit on it for a fair while and then resell it. I remember having countless EX era booster boxes, which pains me to say it. It pains me to say it. I remember being on, what's the forum? And this would be testing some OGs, and I don't even know if it still exists. Remember the forum Pojo? There was countless TCGs on there, and you would build up feedback and you would trade for other people. And I remember my username being Lampard because I just remember dominating with Frank Lampard on Chelsea in like FIFA 08 or something. And anyway, that was my stupid username, and built up a heap of feedback by trading and selling cards on there, both Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z. And I remember I did a massive deal at one stage, and it just pains me that this happened. Anyway, I did a massive deal on EX booster boxes and these Score Dragon Ball Z booster boxes behind me. A person who was closing up a comic store, and there was a bunch of old unopened boxes out the back. And I remember buying these Score Dragon Ball Z boxes for like $90 a pop. And, that was the same price that they were new. So, like, these are 2001, these came out. It was 2009, I think, that this I started trading or purchased these booster boxes, and it was crazy. They were the same price. EX era booster boxes, I can remember picking up a heap of them. We're talking a fair few Crystal Guardians, a fair few Power Keepers, some really solid, not the top tier sets, no EX Team Rocket Returns or EX Deoxys, but I think I grabbed about half a dozen Score booster boxes, or maybe even more. Maybe I got a couple of cases of a few different sets, and I got a fair few EX era boxes. And look, I picked them up not long after they'd launched for a tiny bit more than what they were worth new. It wasn't much more at all. And, maybe let's talk off a recommended retail of $100 US. I might have paid $150 or $160 US per box, 3 or 4 years after release of these boxes. And I can remember sitting all of them in the cupboard, and then it just got the better of me. I opened them. I opened all of them, and it pains me to see it. Those Score booster boxes behind me, they're just displays. There's no cards inside them. They've been opened. But what I'm getting at, and the whole point behind that story, is that forever and a day, if you'd bought a booster box, when it was 3 or 4 years old, it might be worth $40 or $50 US more. Even the greatest sets, EX era sets, they weren't all that popular new. You could go into Kmart here in Australia, or even supermarkets here in Australia, and you could buy EX series booster packs, the sleeved packs, individual packs, 3-pack blisters, 2 to 3 years after the set had launched. You could buy a lot of the EX era packs in 2009 that were 2 or 3 years old and just pay retail price for them. The booster boxes commanded a tiny bit of a premium. Moving forward, even to the start of XY era, same thing was happening. It wasn't until bang, that the message that I said before about Evolutions coming out, about Pokemon Go coming out, that's when the printers started to step up as well to meet demand, and we started seeing reprints for a lot of latter era, XY era sets, moving into Sun and Moon, same thing. We started to see this real surge. We did. The hobby started to change, and we started to see surges in things like base set booster boxes and some of those Wizards of the Coast era booster boxes. And then, you know what happened? Bang, COVID hit. That was the precursor to all of this. And that's when the investing space took the biggest change. Slabs, singles, sealed product went absolutely insane, and it set a new precedent for how the hobby should feel. And right now, everything is the same as that feel, but it feels like it's on Kaioken times 3. It feels like what we had in 2020 is even stronger now. And here's where I want to get to with the biggest difference. I talked about back then that a box would come out 3 or 4 years later, it might be worth $50 more than what it was at launch. And look, if people were selling comic book stores and whatnot, you could buy a lot of them maybe even for near on retail price. Then COVID hit and it accelerated things. But now's even more different, because what happens now is we have a whole bunch of this new money coming in, and talking about saturation, what would typically happen is product would sit with the suppliers, with the original sellers, and let's call them the primary sellers. The primary sellers are the stores that set up with access to distribution, whether that's online or brick and mortar. And what happens is it would need to eventually filter from the hands of the primary sellers to the secondary market. And what's happening now is anytime we get a good set, it moves like this. That's how quickly it takes to go from the primary sellers to the secondary sellers. Typically, that span was this. It was 3, 2, 1 years, depending on how good the set was. Now it's this. There's no time at all. It's gone like that. Ascended Heroes, anytime there's a drop, gone. 151, anytime there's a drop, gone. Prismatic Evolutions, anytime there's a drop, gone. Destined Rivals, you get the point. Anytime a good set comes out, it instantly moves from the primary market to the secondary market. Why? Because people can make fast money off it. That's the only reason. Why do you think Perfect Order is sitting around in shops still? Because people can't make fast money off it. Because even if you move it from the primary market to the secondary market like that, it's not going to make a difference. People are going to pay you the same price in the secondary market as they would have paid on the primary market. You get the point. Now, when it comes to saturation and this feeling of all these new players in the game, I talked about lots of things. There's more investors, there's more YouTubers than you'll ever possibly see. I remember when I started YouTube, I think there was maybe, half a dozen that I could name that were in the space that were probably influential in the Pokemon investing YouTube space. And now there's just like hundreds, if not thousands of Pokemon YouTubers. Every time I log onto YouTube, I see a new one. There's people bringing new data trends to the hobby. There's people trying to, I shouldn't say trying to, there is people data modeling on slabs, whether it's graded and whether it's raw singles, and just everyone is feeling like this is their next retirement fund. And as a result, we have more product than ever being hoarded. And what happens there is, and there's two parts to this, what happens there is I talked about the product moving from the primary market to the secondary market like that, if it's a good set. But some of that process, it's not all being resold. Some of that process occurs for people to just keep it. And maybe they're hoarding it in storage units by the cases. And what happens is that natural attrition you'd normally get of sealed product, and maybe, if you're into science at all or physical sciences, we talk about, what am I saying? Like I'm some physical scientist, I'm not at all. People talk about a half-life, every year maybe, or every 3 months, or every 10 days, and talking in the Pokemon investing space, maybe every 6 months, the product would drop. So if we get a launch of 20 million booster boxes, maybe after 6 months, there's 10 million left. Then after another 6 months, there's 5 million left. Another 6 months, you get the point. Over time, it just gradually drops and drops and drops. But if everyone's artificially hoarding the product, maybe it's not going to drop as much. So even if it looks scarce on the market because there's not much there, maybe there's more there than what we think. Now, with all that being said, I said there's 2 points to that argument. The other point is it's getting ripped more than ever. Yes, the printers are up to 10. Yes, there's more cards being printed than ever. But the rip and ship culture and this want to chase the hit, that dopamine rush of trying to pull the newest, greatest hit, whether it's the Charizard from Phantasmal Flames, whether it's the Gengar or Pikachu or Dragonite from Ascended Heroes, this need to want to rip packs is greater than ever. And you know what? With all this conversation in mind and the modern Pokemon investing space being too saturated, I guess I have talked myself into a conclusion at the end of this video, which is I'm still super, super, super bullish on this. I don't think the amount of people that are coming into here and saying they're going to hold for 5 to 10 years, I just don't think they will. Things happen in life. People people realize that they've made enough gains and they want to sell. People will jump out of this hobby as quickly as they come into it if they don't feel they can make the money they can. I'm still so bullish. If you've got diamond hands and you can buy the good sets with good chase cards and a good product, so booster box, Pokemon Center Elite trainer boxes, even things like sealed booster bundle cases now from sets like 151, Prismatic, Ascended Heroes, those holiday sets that don't have booster boxes anymore. These are going to be solid investments if you can hold them for a long period of time. I think I've talked myself into a conclusion by the end of this that yes, the market is more saturated than it's ever been, but yes, there's also more money in here that is opening and ripping packs than ever before. And as long as you have a long-term mindset, you are going to outlast any of that noise and achieve phenomenal gains. Big shout out to today's video sponsor, which is of course the Collector app if you're still watching. Fantastic app. There'll be a link in the description to download it. If you don't have it, by all means get it. It's a one-stop shop for all your Pokemon investing needs and collecting needs. You can put all your sealed, all your singles inside there from English, Japanese, etc. It'll show you market prices. It'll show you set analytics. It'll show you top chase cards. It'll show you how a product's been performing over time and how your portfolio's been performing over time. I'm Michael. This is PokeOz. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you all next time.